the first to survive on the waste of others. But here at Bantar Gebang rubbish tip outside Jakarta, it's a stark and stinking illustration of Indonesia's economic crisis. 4 years ago, about 2,000 people lived off the dump. Now it's more than 6,000 and growing daily. Among them is Alex Suharto. Until last year, he had a relatively well-paid job working as a mechanic for a French surveying company. But they pulled out of the country, and now he's on the scrap heap.
If I don't do this kind of work, my wife and kids won't eat. So I'm forced to do it, whatever it takes. Sometimes when I take a break, all I can do is sit and cry.
Alex has now been here for a month.
I look on this work as temporary. At the moment there isn't any other work. But once I get a better job, as soon as I find other work, I'll move on.
But to where? He'll be lucky to find another job in this increasingly polarized society, where the gulf between rich and poor is ever wider. The plush shopping malls, built in the boom years of the early 90s, are still the place to be seen by the well-to-do. These people have 3 decades of economic growth to thank President Suharto for, but their wealth is disappearing fast. Cash dominates the downtown posters. Economic prosperity under President Suharto. But the reality is that Indonesia's economic crisis is deepening. The rupiah has lost 80% of its value in just a few months. Inflation is rampant, and few can afford to buy even the simplest foods. For Alex, it is continuous humiliation. Each day returning home to his tiny shack beside the rubbish dump. He tries to wash away what's become of his life. He and his wife live here separated from their children, who've been sent to stay with their grandparents in the country. He misses them and his former expatriate workmates.
I regret. I've enjoyed a good life. I had a fine job before. I also regret that I have to do this job that I'm doing now. It makes me so sad. I can hardly bear to look at the pictures.
If most Indonesians have lost faith in their economy, they always have their religion to fall back on. "200 million people make Indonesia the 4th most populated country in the world, and 80% of the population are Muslim. But this mosque in downtown Jakarta, free food packages donated by a Chinese-owned bank are handed out. An attempt to bridge a growing and potentially explosive divide that's opening up between the majority Indonesians and the ethnic Chinese. In villages of central Java, Muslim traders spray paint their religious identity on their shops. They don't want rioters to mistake them for their Chinese neighbors. Chinese shopkeepers accused of hoarding goods are looted in front of Indonesian police officers. The Chinese, only 5% of the population, dominate 70% of Indonesian business. So many Indonesians blame them for the unemployment and inflation. As their businesses and homes are destroyed, local Chinese take refuge in police stations.
I hid myself in the housemaid's toilet because I just wanted to save myself and my children. This has happened because the prices have gone up. The prices have been increased by them. The Indonesian economy is dominated by them. The Chinese.
Modern Indonesia hides a dark recent history of ethnic divide. The slaughter of hundreds of thousands of ethnic Chinese 30 years ago. But scratch the surface and an entirely different picture emerges on the other side of the tracks. Especially amongst the poor and the dispossessed, the old prejudices are re-emerging. Idris Mohammed, like all civil officials, is a member of President Suharto's Golkar party. His responsibility is one of the poorest inner-city areas of Jakarta. These people are part of a massive movement of recent immigrants who arrive in Jakarta daily, desperate for work or at the very least the basic means of survival. They're economic refugees from the countryside where prolonged drought and economic hardship has forced them off the land. Traditionally, rural Indonesians carry the greatest hatred for the ethnic Chinese, a hatred that Idris Mohammed knows only too well takes the pressure off his boss, President Suharto.
Because of the price increases, people's anger against the Chinese is increasing. The Chinese themselves have been playing foul with the goods every day. They're increasing the prices of their goods because they've been hoarding the goods. The people's anger against the Chinese has increased. Their influence is bad.